So we'll be starting with one of the most important chapters in your entire module or your subject is your lesson 9, secretarial audit. As this chapter directly is connected with company secretaries, that's you and me, and also ICSI, expect a question definitely to be asked from here. So what we are going to do today, whatever I'm going to give you the markings, etc., definitely it has always come in your exam, it will come in your exam, and even for all the people in future, secretarial audit is a confirmed question in your module, in your exams. So let's begin with secretarial audit and understand what it is, what are the provisions, etc. Now, before I tell you, because I believe some idea you must be having of what is secretarial audit, I need you all to tell me the provisions under which section of Companies Act is secretarial audit covered.
204, sir.
Very good. So section 204. Very, very good. Everybody should know this and also quote it in the exam. But is there sections or there are also rules covered in company law?
Rules also.
Okay. So which rule is there in Companies Act which talks about secretarial audit? When we know it's
So I don't remember the entire name. Just I guess appointment and remuneration.
Yeah. So but I'm talking about the rule number.
Rule number. Okay. So I don't know.
Okay. Just try. Maybe if on the screen if you can see.
9, sir.
Very good. Excellent. Rule number 9. This kind of knowledge is required to, get exemptions. Not only that, secretarial audit report. Now, when I say a secretarial audit report, we all know audit reports have a certain format. So if there is a chartered accountant, he has to report in a certain specific format. Same way, there are company secretaries, when they prepare their reports called as secretarial audit reports, they will also be in a specific form. Anybody knows what is the form number? Anyone wants to make a guess? Tell me one thing. You think
MR3.
Very, very good. Good reasoning skills. On which page of the module it is there?
197.
197. Okay. So that's how it has been located. But now this has to be instilled in your memory before we even move ahead. I want you to know the core provisions and these will be quoted in your exam definitely if the question comes. Furthermore, whenever the secretarial audit report is prepared, okay, just before I move ahead, who prepares a secretarial audit report? I think it's a fairly easy question.
Yes. PCS.
PCS. Okay. So it's a practicing company secretary that prepares a secretarial audit report. Now, when they prepare this report in their MR3, is it disclosed to the shareholders or the company secretary keeps this report in his cupboard and keeps it private and confidential, or these become public documents?
Public documents.
So obviously these will become public documents. It's notified to everyone, to the shareholders, to the world at large, and it is sent to all the members of the company. This report is sent to the members of the company. Is it sent individually or it is sent attached to something? As in every year, is it attached to something? Let me see if you can get it right.
So working papers?
So working papers are something is of the auditors themselves. So they themselves keep it. It's never shared to anyone. So working papers are the properties of the auditors. It's never shared.
Then explanatory statement?
Explanatory statement. Okay. So let me tell you.
Statement of opinions and reviews?
Okay. So my question is, the report, the secretarial audit report, it is sent to the members, but how is it sent? do they individually send a secretarial audit report, or it is sent in a particular form in along with something?
So I think it is attached to the board report.
Very good. And the board report is further attached, can I say, to the annual report? Okay, so let me explain. Every year, if your parents must be shareholders of the company, you all must be getting an annual report of Reliance, annual report of Infosys, annual reports of Tata Motors, whichever company you've invested in, you get an annual report. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That annual report contains the annual performance of the company, the financial and the non-financial part. When you open the annual report, you will notice that there is a section inside the annual report called as the board report. That is where the board of directors are talking to you, is talking to the shareholders. The board, it is prepared by the board of directors, and it is in the, the board of directors would like to share with you XYZ. In this board of report, they mention about the secretarial audit report. Am I clear with this? So correctly stated by all that a secretarial audit report is sent as an attachment to the board report. Is this clear? Simple and clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now moving forward, still there are certain provisions that we need to know for secretarial audit report and secretarial audit. Okay. Now the company secretary, makes certain confirmations, certain assurances, certain undertakings the auditor is taking, that the company is followed, has not followed, etc. Yes or no? Whenever an audit report is there, the auditor, that is the scrutinizer, the checker, is confirming, is giving an opinion that, for example, the laws are followed, all the compliances are followed. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Any audit report, the auditor makes certain statements. Now, as per section 447 and section 448, it contains the penal provisions for auditors. If they make any statement which is false, knowing it to be false, or for example, they state a statement to be true, knowing it to be false, it amounts to professional misconduct and the auditor should be held liable. We've seen in so many cases the auditors are put behind bars because they have stated certain things to be true, when in reality they know it is false. For example, I am saying the company has complied with all the laws. When I know about the misdoings of the directors, the misreporting, etc. So am I clear that even auditors are under liability, criminal liability, even civil liability, where they can be held accountable for making false statements? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And when you go to see section 447 and 448, you will realize that the provisions covering the auditors is so stringent. Means, for example, I'm a company secretary. If I'm making false statements, I read section 447, 448, I'll come to know there are such heavy penalties on auditors that nowadays people, instead of doing audit, they prefer to teach audit. And that is why, what am I currently doing?
Teaching, sir.
I'm teaching audit. Okay, because doing the audit and when your signature goes, it is a very, very big responsibility. Okay, so moving ahead, these are the provisions that would be covered that you need to know by heart and quote in your exam in your particular answer. Now moving ahead with understanding what is secretarial audit and understanding the part. Firstly, I told you all in the very beginning that audit, simple meaning of audit is what? I need 2-3 words which define audit. Anyone? Verification,
Scrutinization, examination.
examination, scrutinization, checking. Any other word, and then I'll move ahead. If anyone can add into the vocabulary. Can I say critical assessment? Okay, so these are just different words for saying audit. It's just simple check. Now, when I used when traditionally audit was restricted to financial aspects, yes or no? We always thought financial audit is audit, but a secretarial audit is a financial audit or a non-financial audit?
Non-financial.
Non-financial. So whenever we are saying what is a secretarial audit, a secretarial audit is a audit of the non-financial aspects of the company. In this, what are we checking? Can anyone tell me? When I'm a chartered accountant, and I'm doing a financial audit, I'm checking whether the company has displayed all the financials correct or no, all the transactions have been recorded, and whether the company is giving a true and fair view of the actual financial position of the company. That's what a chartered accountant is doing. I want to know, in a secretarial audit, what am I confirming? What am I stating?
That all the laws which are applicable to a company is
Followed.
completely
Complied
by this.
Excellent. So here a secretarial auditor is actually ascertaining. He is ascertaining, confirming, checking whether the compliances of the applicable laws has been done by the company or not. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now,
Yes, sir.
now I want you to answer me. Is secretarial audit a checking of the compliance with Companies Act or with all the possible laws applicable on the company?
All the laws. All the
All the laws.
Okay, so very good. So all of you all are saying all the laws. Very good. So let's say every company will follow all the laws. Now when I say all the laws, rules, regulations, bylaws, circular, whatever is there, everything they need to follow. So the laws, therefore you see, they will say compliance with your Companies Act, your share market, your FEMA, industry specific laws. For example, I'm a coal manufacturing company like Coal India. So then I will have certain sector specific laws. Or maybe I'm an aviation company. I am, Air India. So then there are specific aviation laws that are applicable to me, which are not applicable to anyone else. Okay. Then come general laws, which are applicable to all the companies. Okay. Because any company will have employees, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That means every company will have labor laws to comply with. Your salary structure, your what all taxes, PF, etc. So these are some of the general laws which are applicable to all the companies. Even competition law, if they are doing a particular mergers, amalgamation, so even competition law gets triggered, and etc. So moving ahead, these are just stating that you have to follow everything. Now tell me one thing, if my company is there and I have to do an audit of the company. My younger brother, okay, so this is me. So let me just draw myself. So this is me, okay, and my younger brother is there. My younger brother, okay. Now he is a company secretary. Can he come and audit my company? My bro, Can he come and
No.
audit my company? No. Because if he tries to do too much checking and removes my mistake, don't you think I will tell him, bro, what are you doing? Is that allowed in law? Can a auditor be connected to the company in any way?
No, sir.
No. Very good. So to say not connected, they use the word independent. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So secretarial audit is actually an independent so whenever you're stating about, so your CS professional is not only about writing your answers and explaining the concept, but it is writing with certain language which will really set you apart from others. So while understanding concepts is one thing, learning concepts is another thing, and improving your vocabulary, your language is even more important. Okay, so when I see this, it is a examination, verification, scrutinization. Can I add this adjective to enhance my answer? It is a independent. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I can do that. So adding all those adjective, improves your presentation. So it's an independent verification of all the particular laws applicable to the compliances of laws of all the statutes, law, etc., and whether the company has followed all the legal requirements or not. Now, second, one more really language maybe you can improve. So can I say secretarial audit is an independent verification of records? Yes or no? Can I say that yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do I sound more professional if I say company secretarial audit postulates for an independent verification? Which sounds better and which makes me sound more learned?
The one.
What word should I use to sound more learned? Postulates. Okay, so these are languages where the concept is very simple. You know what is secretarial audit. Everybody will be writing secretarial audit, but not everyone will be focusing on the words, the language, and this is what I want you to emphasize as well. So the secretarial audit postulates, states, okay, or demands for an independent verification. Moving ahead, we've understood the concept that secretarial audit is nothing but checking of all the laws, whether they are followed or no by the company. Okay, so again they'll write that is an independent assurance activity which adds value, etc. Now coming to the second part, secretarial audit, the need for secretarial audit. So whenever they ask anything about secretarial audit, you will write the meaning of secretarial audit, you will quote the provisions that I have told you, and also the need for secretarial audit. Now when I am asking the need for secretarial audit, can you tell me what are they asking? I want to know what are they saying.
What was the importance of secretarial and why do we need it? Like,
Yeah,
to
why?
ensure that
Yes. So can I say even if they ask the advantages of secretarial audit, you can write the same answer. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because if that is the advantage, that is why you're doing it, etc. So in the further part, you will notice that one head is need for secretarial audit. Further, they will say the advantages or the benefits of secretarial audit. More or less, the answer will be same. Okay. Now coming to this need for secretarial audit, very simple. This is really your bread and butter. Yes or no? I'm just going a little more this is your bread and butter secretarial audit, because in your entire company law, this is a specific task that you have got, a specific assignment that you have, company secretary. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and someone is asking, why do secretarial audit? So your emphasis will be, why do secretarial audit? You will say, it will give you effective mechanism and to ensure that the laws are followed. Yes or no? Someone is asking you your entire career, why company secretary? So someone is asking you why.
So the purpose.
Yeah, the purpose of secretarial audit. So you'll go on to say that it will give you ensure that the laws are followed because it is checked by an independent professional. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Still the person is not convinced. So wouldn't you still be panicking that this person is still not understanding that why this is important? So I'll go on to say that it will increase the level of confidence of the directors and the KMPs, that they will be ensure that the laws are followed. So don't you think it will be a confidence booster?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Still, if they are not convinced, I am still wondering now what other thing can I tell them that why is this important? I will tell them that I will handle the laws, I will check the laws, and the directors can do business. So the directors can focus on important matters in the business. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Still, if they are not understanding why is this important, I will tell you, if you do it, it will improve the image of the company, the goodwill of the company. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Still the client is saying why should this checking be done? So I will tell it is a very important risk management tool. You can manage the risk of the company. Understand? If still they don't believe me and they're not convinced, what will I tell them? I'll tell them, see, the most important part for you is money. The investors will be satisfied that the audit has been done, the laws are in place, so the investors wouldn't hesitate to invest money and it will increase your valuation. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so somewhere these points you need to remember in your own fashion and try to understand what is the need. Also, you know, they have given you few more points as well, that audit process, if devised properly devised, that is, if you do a proper audit, it will ensure timely compliances of laws and also eliminate non-compliances of various laws. So are you satisfied with the need of secretarial audit? That it is very important for all these things?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
No. So let me move ahead and try to explain still more things why it is important. So further ahead in the chapter, they've also given why it is important again. Can you see this topic of benefits of secretarial audit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now again, I will start my entire explanation. So whenever they ask you need and benefits, you can correlate and write together. So again, you will have to go on to say a little more dramatic you need to get. The benefits of secretarial audit. I will say if you don't do secretarial audit, it will be catastrophic. Imagine. To the entire continuing viability of the company. I am saying the company will only not function. बंद हो जाएगी कंपनी, बिजनेस ही नहीं होगा, जॉब छूट जाएंगे, जेल में जाएंगे सब, if secretarial audit is not done. Understood till here? So you need to just kind of merge the answers where they ask for need and for benefits together. Okay, so then they go on to say a lot more. Okay, so you can read it up. I believe you got the point. See, a secretarial non-compliance. So now they're going to say that if you do a non-compliance, what will happen? A secretarial non-compliance नहीं कराया था ना आपने और non-compliance मिला, तो एक legal suit होगा आपके ऊपर, और ethical and governance problems can give rise to a catastrophic effect on the continuing viability of the company. Statute prescribes mandatory secretarial audit of bigger companies to comfort the shareholders also. Many companies do it voluntarily to minimize the possible, various issues that may disrupt their company's progress. So these are the points that you can do it, yes or no? So this benefits is something that you can
Yes, sir.
put in. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So they have given you few more also risk of non-compliance. So they have really taken this need and the benefits of secretarial audit, giving you all the possible aspects why it is important. Because they are saying that risk of non-compliance and failure to keep proper records, okay, could lead to the ability by third parties to play with the stakeholders limited liability protection. So there can be the stakeholders will be affected. There could be fines, penalties, imprisonment. Even the regulators will take action against you. So it's somewhere kind of being very, very affirmative that why it is important. Furthermore, failure to adopt a proper environment of law could give rise to non-government civil liability. So it could be the company and its board could be subject to the liability to its answerable to the shareholders, director. So this part you can pull off till now, right? So what have we done till now? We've first done what is secretarial audit, and second we've done the need for secretarial audit and the benefits of secretarial audit. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that is sufficient. You can read both together like how I have done. Now moving ahead to the more specific laws, what is given in those sections that we discussed earlier. Okay, so firstly, a secretarial audit and a company secretary in practice. So a little bit starting about company secretaries. A company secretary in practice is a professional who is well versed with all the particular laws applicable to the companies, both listed, unlisted, private, public, everything. So company secretary is a professional who is well versed with all the laws. He has a strong knowledge and makes him a competent professional to conduct a secretarial audit. So somewhere, what are we doing about the company secretary course?
Different laws.
Yeah, so we are kind of highlighting what is the importance of a company secretary, and actually we are the professionals who are always the go-to person when it comes to laws with respect to any companies. Okay, now coming to the applicability. Tell me one thing, is secretarial audit applicable to every single company?
Only those who are required to hire company secretary.
Okay, so are secretarial audit applicable to all companies? Yes or no?
No.
No. Very good.
No.
So it is applicable only to certain classes of companies. So we are going to see which companies are they applicable to. This I could say is the most important part and more specific part. Okay, so whenever I told you all the sections 204, rule 9, your 134 section, that is your board report, all of these are important to you quote. Okay, so this is your important core law. So which kind of companies require to do a secretarial audit? So can I say all listed companies?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so section 204 of the Companies Act read with rule 9. All this has to be quoted. Okay, so it's not only at the time of studying, and in the end if you don't quote in your exam, it is as no use. In professionals, I have seen so many students who've got all India ranks, I've seen their papers, they quote not only the section but also the rules as much as is possible. Okay, so here you go with the section 204 read with rule 9 of the company's appointment and remuneration of managerial personnel rules 2014 states the applicability of secretarial audit. So all listed companies, we know that. And another word you need to remember is 50-250. What is the name you need to remember? 50-250. So 50 and 250. So every other public company having a paid up capital of 50 crores also have to do, and every other public company having a turnover of 250 crores has to do a secretarial audit. Am I clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very, very good. Now this fourth part was earlier not there. This fourth point was earlier not there. It has been added through an amendment. So let me just take you through that amendment also. Okay. So can you all see the section 204?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is your actual section 204 of your Companies Act. So you can make a note of it. How many subsections are there?
Four, sir.
4 subsections. The very first subsection says every listed company and every other company belonging to the class as may be prescribed. Now which prescribed, under which rule will you find this?
Rule 9.
Rule 9. So when I'll click as may be prescribed, rule 9 will open up. Can you see rule 9?
Yes, sir.
Now rule 9, I told you have to remember every listed company and every other public company having 50 to 50. So 50 paid up capital and 250 turnover. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And now this C part, can you see this one? It has been put up. This one is right here, inserted by your amendment rules 2020, January 2021. So this part has been added, that every company having a outstanding loans and borrowing from banks of a public financial institution of 100 crores or more. So this is what they have given you in the notes as well. Every company having a loan or a borrowing from banks or financial institution of 100 crores or more also have to do a secretarial audit. Am I clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this you need to remember, and to show off, maybe you can just put as per your amendment, amendment 2020, Companies Amendment Act 2020. Now further, this will be annexed to the board report. The section for board report is a section 134 subsection 3, and the form number for your secretarial audit report. What is the form number?
MR3.
Yeah. Okay. So MR3 is the secretarial audit report format. So am I clear with the applicability read with rule 9 and MR3, all these sections?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
Yes, sir.
supremely simple also, and we can move ahead. So this is the most important, you need to quote verbatim. Now moving ahead, this is a knowledge which you had, which you would normally quote. One more I did not mention up, I think we can just put it now. And whatever I write, I believe you should also write it in your notes that time. So I write the most important part, so you can also quote. Now one more is there, okay, one more provision is there. For listed companies, there is they have to follow something more, which is your, anybody knows what is that called?
SEBI LODR.
LODR.
Yeah, LODR 2015. In SEBI LODR also there is a regulation which talks about secretarial audit. Can anyone tell me what is the regulation number? Make a guess. Make a guess. What is the regulation number for secretarial audit? Any idea? Anyone? Sure. Very honest. Nobody is seeing this. So what is the regulation number?
24.
24A.
24A. Very, very good. So now we'll be doing your LODR regulation 24A. Yeah, clear? So applicability of sectoral audit under your SEBI loader regulations 2015. Can I call it loader?
Yes, sir.
No, ideally it's not called. I just was kidding. Okay. So whatever, your sectoral audit under SEBI LODR regulations 2015. Now this committee on corporate governance was constituted, which was actually studying the applicability of sectoral audit, okay, and for making it compulsory for all listed companies and certain other companies also, okay, that is all your materially unlisted companies, which I will tell you what it is. So I'm just telling you that there was a committee on corporate governance. Till here it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it was made under the chairmanship of Shri Uday Chopra Uday Kotak. Okay. So it was under the chairmanship of Uday Kotak, where they had recommended certain secretarial audit requirements, and pursuant to which it was amended and your regulation 24A was inserted. Am I clear till here?
Yes, sir.
So you tell me that regulation 24A was made under the Committee of Corporate Governance under the chairmanship of Uday Chopra or Uday Kotak?
Uday Kotak.
Uday Kotak.
Very good. Okay. So that is one important thing to note. Second, what is that regulation 24A which is there? So this also mandatorily has to be quoted. Okay, whenever they ask you about secretarial audit, you should directly be 204, Rule 9, 24A, MR3. Okay, so all those things should be 134 subsection 3. So all the provisions should be in place. Now we're reading your secretarial audit given under your regulation number 24A. So can we move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is stated that every listed company has to do secretarial audit. That to we know. Yes or no? Every listed companies has to do a secretarial audit. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But along
Yes,
with
sir.
that, even its materially unlisted subsidiary should a secretarial audit should be done of a listed company's materially unlisted subsidiary. So can I say this is like a technical term which we have to understand kya hai ye?
Yes, sir.
So firstly, they are saying that secretarial audit is required for listed companies. So we say, वो तो हमें पता है, we know that, but its subsidiary also needs to do it. So let me make 3 subsidiaries for you. So this is your subsidiary 1, this is your subsidiary 2, and this is your materially unlisted subsidiary. So tell me one thing, as per just by the plain reading, is every single subsidiary of a listed company need to be audited, secretarial audited?
No.
Hmm?
No.
No. So only the first, second or the third one?
Third one.
Third one.
So the fourth one? No, na? Third one. So the third one will be audited mandatorily. All the other subsidiaries need not be audited. So the question comes that what is this materially unlisted subsidiary? Okay. So either ही है, we don't have to go too far to understand the meaning of this materially subsidiary. So first thing, from here we know what is the meaning of a subsidiary, yes or no? Subsidiary क्या है पता है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so subsidiary we know, and we also know it is there under section 2 subsection 87, right? So definition of subsidiary, in case if somebody doesn't know, they can refer section 2 subsection. What is section 2 subsection?
87.
87. Very good. We define what is a subsidiary. So we know a subsidiary is a company in which the holding company has either 50% stake, has controls the board of directors, or controls the BOD, or controls more than half of the voting rights, etc. So we know what is a subsidiary. So coming here again, so we know it's a subsidiary for sure, and they're saying it's a material subsidiary. So when I say material, means important or non-important, significant or non-significant,
Important.
significant or non-significant,
Significant.
significant. So let's understand. So they're saying it's a significant subsidiary, means वो subsidiary important होगी, कुछ अच्छा खासा कमा रही होगी. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So let's take an example. Let's say this is TCS. This is Tata Consultancy Services. Okay. And Tata's has a lot of subsidiaries. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, and let's say I'm talking about one company like your Tata Motors. An example. Okay. So it's Tata Motors. Now, is it necessary that all the subsidiaries might be doing very well, or some might do really well, be outperforming, and some might not? Right? Or let me give you another example. Let's say this is Reliance Industries and this is your Reliance Jio. Can I say Reliance Jio is really outperforming Reliance Fresh and all those other stuff?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what are they saying? That this is the entire group. Let's say this is the consolidated turnover. I'm going to see the whole earnings of the entire group, including everyone. So let's say I'm taking the net worth of all the companies combined, or the turnover of all the companies combined. Till here it is clear. I'm taking the consolidated, means the total, simple word, total income or net worth of all these companies, let's say, is 100 crores. Yeah, the clear. What is the consolidated turnover for the example we've taken?
$100 crores.
100 crores. And Reliance Jio or Tata Motors is having itself of 10 crores or maybe more, 10 crores or more. Or can I say this itself is having more than 10 crores? So can I say this is a very good income generating company?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this will be considered as a materially unlisted subsidiary. So it means a subsidiary whose income or net worth exceeds 10% of the consolidated turnover of the listed companies and its subsidiaries. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So again, I'll just
Yes,
repeat.
sir.
So a company can have like Reliance and all of them, they have multiple 60, 70 subsidiaries they might have. But not all the subsidiaries are picking up. There might be one company which must have been giving 10% of the entire group's income. So we can say that this company is though unlisted, but is material. So secretarial audit of this company also needs to be done. Secretarial audit needs to be done of the Reliance Industries or the listed company as well as material unlisted subsidiary. Is that clear? So we can move ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's supreme. Yeah. Very, very simple.
Yes, sir.
Now they have also given certain exemptions for certain listed companies who do not have to do sectoral audit. अभी क्या बोला था that all listed companies should do a sectoral audit? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But now they are saying that as per regulation 15, the compliance specified under this section 24A, that is of unlisted subsidiary, etc., shall not apply to So do they have to follow section regulation number 24A?
No, sir.
No.
No,
so,
sir.
So they are really happy. You think these must be big companies who must be told that you exempt, or a smaller companies would be exempt?
Smaller company.
Relatively small companies in comparison to big companies, they say, okay, fine, you don't have your unlisted materially unlisted subsidiary, it's okay, skip it. So let's see which are those. A listed company having a equity capital of not exceeding 10 crores and net worth not exceeding 25 crores. So listed company which is having a, let's say, 10 crore rupees, is it a very big thing? Is 10 crores a very big thing? Just for analogy, Shah Rukh Khan has a car which is of 12 crores. Now tell me, a company having 10 crores is very big today?
No.
No. Now everybody is saying no. Okay. So then they said, ठीक है चलो अभी 10 करोड़ खुद कंपनी का 10 करोड़ है तो उसकी सब्सिडरी का 10% कितना ही होगा, so exempt कर सकते हैं. And second, those companies which are listed on the SME exchange, small and medium enterprise exchange, from the name itself, are these big companies?
No. No, sir.
So again we are saying जाने दो, ठीक है. Is that clear? For SME list, stock exchange पे जो list हुए, so they are also listed companies, but we want the companies which are listed on the main board, not on the subordinate board. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now I think one of you all need to tell me, can secretarial audit compliance ever be applicable to a private company? Yes or no? Yes or no? Can a secretarial audit, which they're saying is applicable to listed
No.
company?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the person who said no in the start also quickly changed their answers, and everybody else also changed, saying yes, sir. Okay. So what is the logic? How can a private company, where they're continuously saying it is applicable to listed companies and every other public company only, right? Then how can a private company be the provisions of this apply to a private company? Can anyone explain?
The subsidiary of a public company.
Correct. So
Or private companies which have like a large turnover.
yeah. So basically they've kept it very simple. They've said that, a public company, rules are applicable here, yes or no, to public company. But when a public company has a subsidiary, so it has a subsidiary which is a private company. This is a private company and it is a subsidiary of a public company. पैसा ये प्राइवेट कंपनी का किस में लगा, ये प्राइवेट कंपनी में पैसा कहाँ से आया? From where did the money come inside this private company? Whose money is it?
Public company.
So it is the money of the public, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So they will be deemed public company, and all the provisions of public company will also apply on this private company. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's what they've given you in the definition of public company. So what is the definition of a public company is given in your section 2 subsection 71 of the Companies Act 2013, which says a company which is not a private company and has a paid up capital as may be prescribed. And then they have given you this proviso. This is what the proviso we were discussing, that a company which is a subsidiary of a company, not a private company, that is of a public company, shall be deemed to be a public company. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
So,
I
Yes,
have a
sir.
doubt.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sir, what about those private companies which have like a great turnover, but again, just because they're not under the purview, they won't have to get an secretarial audit done? What if there are scams going on under the name of private company?
Now see, that doesn't mean that if you're a private company you can conduct scams. Okay,
No, sir. I mean, like, there's no regulation forcing them to get it done, right? So then, like, there
Correct.
are greater chances out there.
Yeah, good question. But tell me one thing: private company less 200 plus members कितना ही पैसा contribute कर सकते हैं as compared to a public company? Okay, so no doubt it is there, but law is stating for public companies, okay, and ideally those who are having private companies, in order to get at that level that you're thinking, need public funds. So we see so many companies, you know, they after so many years they plan to get listed, try to raise money. So we've seen Zomato was operating for so many years and then decided to go public for more funds. We saw Zerodha IPO is coming. Then I think another IPO is coming of Paytm. Okay, then there is various IPOs that come in. So they have a definite larger funds, and funds would be to the extent of 12,000 crores, 10,000 crores, 5,000 crores. How many private companies do you know who fall under that bracket? Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's one of the provisions. So though we are thinking, but that is of a you know, a hypothetical situation that a private company coming in with a 10,000 crores. So not many you might find in. Okay. So a private company which are not covered under section 204 may opt for secretarial audit voluntarily. So a private company with all that level, they can opt for a voluntary aspect as well. Now coming to a notification of section of SEBI LODR amendment regulations 2018, a secretarial audit is mandatory for listed companies and they are materially unlisted companies incorporated in India, public or private, and are required to annex the secretarial audit report with their annual report. Is this clear? So if you have a subsidiary, a public company having a subsidiary, even if it is a private company, it is deemed to be public. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is again the provision that you need to remember, and I told you it is annexed to annual report, and in the annual report you have a board report to which it is actually mentioned in that. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now something
Yes,
which
sir.
we've already discussed, I think you can just directly tell me, what is the format for secretarial audit report? In which form?
MR3.
MR3,
MR3, and given in which rule?
Rule 9.
Rule 9. Okay, so these are some things that you need to quote. Another thing, again they go on to tell you appointment of secretarial auditor. Secretarial auditor. So very simple. There is one of my friends, okay, his name is Amit. His name is Amit, okay, and he is a cost and works accountant, and he wants to do a secretarial audit. Is he allowed?
No, sir.
Obviously
No, sir.
not. So this is what they're saying. Appointment of secretarial auditor is a company secretary who is holding a practice certificate. Okay, so this is what they're telling you. Only a member of ICSI holding a certificate of practice can conduct a secretarial audit and furnish the secretarial audit report to the companies. Okay, Rule 8 of the company's meetings and the boards stay, the secretarial auditor is required to be appointed by means of a resolution at a duly convened board meeting of the company. Okay, so this is another important aspects which we can write. It is about the appointment of company. Let me talk about my another friend whose name is Anuj. What is his name?
No.
Anuj. So he is a company secretary. Now these are all hypothetical friends. Okay. So Anuj, he's a company secretary. Now the board of directors, I mean he's a PCS, okay, he's a practicing company secretary, and there is a company called as let me give me a random name, okay, rather than ABC Limited. So I'm going to give you the name of Al Sukunat. What is the name of the company?
Al Suku.
Not Suku. प्यार से उसको बोल सकते हैं, but the actual full name is Al Sukunat Private Limited. Okay, so I'm telling you from all those companies and clients, what kind of names do they, have similarly. So Al Sukunat is the name of the company, and they want to appoint Anuj as the auditor, secretarial auditor. Is the situation clear?
Yes, sir.
Al Sukunat wants to appoint Anuj, the practicing company secretary, to do a secretarial audit. So what is a procedure to appoint a secretarial auditor? Can they call up Anuj and tell Anuj कि audit करवाने का है secretarial, करेगा क्या? You think that is a professional way?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. So basically, who is the appointing agency for a secretarial auditor? So there will be, we'll see the procedure also for appointment, but who is the appointing agency? Is it the shareholders or the directors?
BND.
B&D.
BOD, board directors.
Very good. So it is the board of directors. They will convene a meeting and pass a board resolution and then appoint a company secretary. So is this simple and clear?
Yes, sir.
So the the board of directors will appoint CS Anuj. Moving forward, the appointment of secretarial auditor shall be at the beginning of the financial year, as the secretarial entails checking of companies on a continuous basis. So they will appoint him for a particular financial year. As a good practice, secretarial auditor should submit a report to the board at the end of each quarter as to the compliances of the company. So for financial year A to B, in every quarter, the auditor who is appointed will keep them giving periodical reports about the company's compliances with laws. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So you can mark it as important as well. Now moving ahead with another important part. Okay, so now this, not all the things are things to be learned. In this chapter there will be some parts which you can read through. I'm going to call them as JR, just read. So just read aspects are not expected to come as independent questions, but just as for reading purpose. Okay, so these are not like your past year questions, etc., but they can definitely be asked, so we can read through. Other benefits to the stakeholders, so not very important. You can read through once you know the entire concept. These could be read through. Since we are doing from the module, it will be a little vast, so there will be some things which are not exam oriented, but you can just read through quickly. Some of these will start now since we are almost done with the core provisions. So benefits to the promoters, so you can write how does it help the promoters, the directors, etc. So you can read it up once with the headings. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so these are not
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now coming to the scope of secretarial audit. Again, there will be just read. Now let's understand what do you mean by the scope of secretarial audit. We need to understand the concept. Okay. Now whenever I tell you scope of audit, what does it mean? Can I say the coverage? What all will the audit cover? What all is to be checked, etc.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So simply stating, what is the scope of secretarial audit? Scope of secretarial audit will be every single law that you can name which is applicable to the company. So is Companies Act applicable to be checked?
Yes, sir.
Then
Yes.
SCRA, whichever laws you know or you don't know, you can mention it. Depositories Act, FEMA Act, all these laws with respect to your SEBI laws. So your SEBI ICDR, SEBI Pro Insider Trading, SEBI LODR. So all of this needs to be checked. Okay, so all of this they're giving you. Sometimes even you have sector specific laws. So all the laws list they are giving you. You will also check whether the secretarial standards are followed, etc. So this you can just read through. Now coming to another important aspect which they can ask you in your exam. Okay, so till now there were these two things which was just read. Now coming to your important part again. Now your secretarial audit process. It's super simple and the process aspect. So as we had said, if I call up Anuj and I tell him ki audit karne aa jao, you think that is the way it is done?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. So what will first happen? Okay, let's understand of a putting in place the process. The process for secretarial audit. The very first thing that will happen is the board of directors will pass a resolution, a board resolution, okay, to appoint a secretarial auditor. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
That's how it will go. They will shortlist the candidates and then they will check the availability. Then they will decide the terms and conditions, which are called as the engagement letter. They will decide the terms, the scope, etc. and then formally appoint the secretarial auditor. Now, ideally, when you appoint the secretarial auditor, okay, is it complete or it is an offer that we will give him and he has to accept the offer? Tell me one thing. Can we do that? Or
He has to accept your
so
offer.
again, so he will formally accept, state that he is under the permissible limits to, he is not disqualified, he is able to undertake, devote the time, etc. and he will accept our appointment. Now let's say we appoint one of y'all. So we are appointing, okay, one of the most in Bombay, one of the most reputed and the famous is your CS Nirav. You all had seen him right now, just before the lecture. So Nirav, you're there? Yes, sir. Yeah, so privileged to have Nirav with us. Okay, so let's say we have appointed Nirav as the secretarial auditor. Ideally, when an auditor is appointed, they, in order to understand what are the internal controls, what are the risk factors, as a practice, you normally communicate to the incumbent auditor, to the previous auditor of the company. See, can you see this communication to the earlier incumbent?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what does this mean? You ideally, if I'm appointed, I will ask that how is the company, what all I need to do, because for me the company is new, the processes are new, but for someone who has already done the audit, they as a professionally have to guide me, because that is a professional ethics. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So supremely simple. Then the next thing will be you start your process for audit. Now, once we have appointed Nirav and he will start with his conducting the audit. Now, audit, Nirav, you tell me, normally as you start, there would be some communications you will make with the management, some kind of discussions, questions, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the preliminary discussions or survey that would be done. You would check the background of the company. You would try to gather information from all the portals, from maybe news reports, from maybe any articles published, from maybe the MCA website. You try to get in certain kind of customer communications, whatever you want, from the departmental communications in case a kind of a notice is issued. Since you have to verify whether all the laws are in place, and if there is some article that the company has lapsed, etc. So you can even talk to them. There are some investor complaints, investor red flags. Wouldn't you talk to all of them?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's say there is Siddhi. So have you seen that Harshad Mehta scam? How there is a reporter. What was the name of the reporter?
Suchita Dalal.
Suchita Dalal. So here also we have a reporter whose name is Siddhi Dalal. What is her name? Siddhi Dalal. Okay, so she is also a reporter. She is kind of giving some communications about the misdoings of the company. So she, it's his duty to communicate with all the people which are gathering information, and then he will hold a meeting with the company, certain kind of preliminary meetings, etc. Will collect his audit evidence. Yes or no? Audit evidence. Audit evidence are all the proofs on basis of which you will base your findings, you will conclude your report. Yes or no? Now this audit evidence could be in the form of checking of, maybe company has not done some filings, you found that out. Maybe the company has given a loan in excess of 186. Maybe the company has given a loan below the bank rate. So all of those things you will keep a note and you will make a note. Then once you do that, so you will maintain all of that in your working papers. Working papers are the work done. So as your audit team will be there, okay. So there will be a plan that Nirav will make. This plan would include his team, his staff. So maybe CS Nirav is there, but there might be, you can also appoint some firms, right? This is an individual auditor, but can I also appoint some company secretary firms, like how you have CA firms?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so in that CA firm, not everybody work together, all at one task. There are teams that are there. So the team will prepare the plan. They will have certain checklists to be followed, which branch will be checked by whom, etc. Once you do that, there will be various audit testing, interview, analysis, etc. And in the end, you will prepare your audit summary and discussions will be there, and the last will be your secretarial audit report, which will be in your MR3. So isn't it a kind of a logical flow?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So somewhere they can ask you the secretarial audit process. It's a past exam question also. You can frame it up. So you can write point number 1, you appoint the auditor. So as we read in Rule 8, read with section 179, that's the powers of the board, a secretarial auditor is appointed by means of a board resolution. Second, once he is appointed, the company secretary will speak to the earlier incumbent. Earlier incumbent means the person who was in office priorly. Now they're just telling you that communication to the previous incumbent would be mandatory before accepting the assignment. So as per the Council of ICSI at a meeting on 16th, they made an amendment to the guidelines where they are saying that it is a practice where we should mandatorily speak to the previous incumbent before we take up the assignment. Second, appointment of a formal letter will be given, preliminary discussions would be made. Then after the discussion, you can have meetings with the administrative staff. You can prepare your entire plan. Your plan audit plan is the timing of the audit, what all are the risk factors, what are the materiality concepts, all of those aspects will be set up. Then you would do your investigation, which is called as testing, interviews, analysis. Working papers are to be maintained. This is the most important, because let's say if, as we were discussing, CS Nirav, okay, he did an audit, he gave a clean report. A clean report also is called as an unqualified report, no mistake report. And tomorrow we came to know that the company came under a scam. It was actually a scam. who do you think they will go and ask?
Company secretary.
So they would go to the company secretary and then they will ask about the details and about what have you done, etc. So if this is possible, let's say this happened after 3 years, the scam was unveiled after 3 years, you think he's going to have any memory of what he had done, who had worked, how much, who had done what work? Because it is no. So in that
No,
case,
sir.
whenever you're doing the audit, the working papers are maintained. It is a vital tool in the hands of the auditors where they keep mentioning that in Nirav's team we had 5 people, or this went to branch A, this went to branch B, this went to branch C. So let me give an example. Okay, so let's say there was a auditor for PNB Bank, Punjab National Bank. Have you heard of it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Now Punjab National Bank got a clean report, got an unqualified report from the auditors. But later it was found out, a scam was revealed in Punjab National Bank, the Breach Candy division. The Breach Candy, that is the Mumbai division. In Mumbai there is Breach Candy. In Breach Candy division, the what a coincidence. Nirav Mehta. Nirav, sorry, what is it? Nirav Modi scam broke out. So we'll have to see that in the entire company, can we hold all the auditors who are mentioned, who are doing in all the branches? No. So the responsibility can be much more specific, where we will say in this branch who was the person who missed it. So accordingly, in the entire team also, they can go ahead and catch that particular auditor. So many times we see PwC, all these Ernst and Young, they have given clean reports, and in those companies we have scams. So is the entire firm shut down? Is everybody in the firm goes in jail? Yes or no?
No.
So not everybody in the firm will go in jail. It is, they'll have to find out exactly who was working on that transaction, who was working in that division or in that branch. They will be held liable. So we will only come to know from the working papers. So working papers is everybody will be maintaining हमने क्या क्या काम किया. Like have you seen a job report? So I don't know whether once you start working for international companies, you need to tell on MIS reports are made. Have you heard of something called as a MIS report? So
Yes, sir.
yeah, so MIS report is when I'm working, I tell the company, the manager, that I have worked on this on this day. So accordingly, we can come to know who has done what work, even in backdated. Then you would make your audit summary for discussions. Okay, once the discussion will be made, and then you'll make your MR3 report. Is this clear? So you can frame an answer with this. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it is. You can keep the headings the same, and internal content you can add on also. Am I clear? Since it's not a direct provision, it's just a audit process. So it's a concept which you can manage. Till here it is fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now again we'll be coming to a concept which will again go in the just read section. Just read sections are basically, you will have to read quickly through. There's nothing that you have to learn in this. You have to quickly read through, because there'll be a lot of content which is not very much necessary to learn. So let's see verification of compliance. Okay, verification of compliance. I'm going to talk about something a little more important also now. Now, when we are doing secretarial audits, do we do verification and checking and examination? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So now again they are going to repeat saying verification of compliance under the Companies Act. So you should think in Companies Act, what all things are you going to verify? You will verify the MOAOA, you will verify the forms, you will verify whether the meetings were done, you will verify whether the minutes were maintained, you will verify whether the circulation with respect to this were proper, whether the draft minutes were sent. So you will have to first think of what all it is there, and then from here you can use in some points. Okay, notices, etc. so on. So this was about Companies Act. So you can take in a few points, not very important. Then again, same for SCRA, your Securities Contract Regulations Act. Okay. So they haven't given much. In SCRA, basically they talk about your Securities Contract Regulations Act, whether those laws are followed with respect to all the derivatives or contracts, clearing agents, whether the mandatory listing requirements, all of those. So there's nothing that you have to learn as of now. Just read through and quickly go. Depositories Act. Tell me one thing. Which are the two depositories in India?
NSDL, CDSL.
NSDL and CDSL. Okay, so these are two depositories. What is the function of a depository?
Holds the shares.
In electronic form, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So basically, if you have your DMAT, you must have opened your account with a particular NSDL or CDSL, right?
Yes, sir.
So also ensuring that the company has followed the depository laws with respect to the audit, etc. So you can read through this, the FEMA laws with respect to the FEMA. So they haven't given you anything very much detailed. They're just giving you headings which you can quickly, maybe you can just put in a timer of 10 minutes and quickly read through. So these are all the just read part which you need to go through. Now coming to the next important part, okay, which you need to know. Remember I was telling you in the initial part of the chapter, two sections for penal provisions. Which were those?
Yes, sir. 447 and 448.
447 and 448. So this again you can put it as most important. Tell me one thing, is penal provisions ever important?
Yes, sir.
Penal provisions important hai kya? Normally, when we normally study.
No, sir.
So we always ignore the penal provisions. However, for secretarial audit, section 447, 448, which contains the penal provisions for professionals, is very important. It has been asked in the exam and it is somewhere where you also need to go. Now, why it is important? Because we are auditors, and when we make false statements, they want to tell you that once they're just trying to show you the implication if you lie, implication if you do some kind of misreporting, you can end up in jail along with heavy penalties. So that is what they are covering. So this is what they're saying, and they ask in the exam. Okay, so it deals with the penalty for false statement. So suppose I make a false statement, knowing it to be false. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Bad thing. Second, I omit a material fact. I knew that the licenses were cancelled. I knew that the directors is going through some criminal case, etc. But I omit to mention it to the shareholders that the license was not cancelled, that the dealings were done, but I don't want to mention it. So some omissions have been done which are material facts, and I know it to be material, and I still do not report it. So do you think I'm doing something good?
No, sir.
No. So in that case, I will be liable under section 447. So when section 448 states that if in any return, report, certificate, financial statement, public prospectus, statement, or any other document for which any of the provision of this act made thereunder, any person makes any statement false, knowing it to be false, or makes any omission, knowing it to be material, shall be liable under section 447. So now question is, what is the penalty? So I have done something wrong. So I'm wondering how many years penalty, etc. I will have. Yes or no? Where will I come to know what is the penalty amount? Which section?
447.
Very good. So this is a second section which is stating the exact amount of quantum of penalty that I will get. So let's see how much it is. So suppose for I end up making a false statement and I make a omission also, knowing it to be materialized. देख लेंगे क्या होता है. So क्या होता है देखते हैं हम लोग. So punishment for fraud of any person who is found guilty of fraud involving an amount of at least 10 lakh rupees. So they have divided it into two parts. Okay, so there is part 1 and the second one they have said which is an amount less than part 2. So in how many parts have they divided the penalty?
2.
2. Okay, 1 and 2. First one, you tell me the first one is more severe, bigger fraud or a smaller fraud?
First.
So the first one is a big fraud. Okay, so we are saying that any person who is found guilty of a fraud involving of the fraud amount is of at least 10 lakhs, means 10 lakhs or more, or 1% of the turnover of the company, 1% of the turnover, if the company whichever is lower, of the company whichever is lower, shall be punishable with a term of not less than 6 months, which may extend to 10 years. So penalty कितना है? 6 इसका big fraud का. Minimum कितने साल में, कितने महीने के लिए जाओगे?
6 months.
So minimum 6 months to 10 years imprisonment. Okay, and shall also be liable for fine. Fine भी लिखा है which shall not be less than, means ये भी इतना mandatory है, not less than the amount involved in the fraud, but which may extend to 3 times of the amount involved in the fraud. So can I say जो penalty है, जो fine भी लग रहा है, it could be x or 3x.
Yes, sir.
X is the amount of fraud that you have done. So quite this. And still if they go that if it involves public interest, then the imprisonment shall not be less than 3 years. So very heavy penalties, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is like
Yes,
about
sir.
big fraud. But let's say this is, we are talking about small fraud. So small fraud, छोटा चोरी I have done. छोटा चोरी कितने का करोगे तुम? मे बी 3-4 lakhs is fine, right? 3 lakhs. चलो ठीक है, छोटा चोरी किया तो let's see what will happen. So if the fraud involves an amount of less than 10 lakhs or 1%, less than 1% of the company, whichever is lower, and does not involve public interest, any person guilty of such fraud shall be punishable with an imprisonment which may extend to 5 years, or which may the fine which may be up to 50,000 or both. Fine. So 5 years or 50k. This is up to. So इसमें minimum imprisonment, minimum fine दिया हुआ है.
Yes, sir.
Minimum कि इतना तो होगा ही, ऐसा कुछ दिया है?
No, sir.
No. So basically in the above they had given you, see in this if you read now, minimum 6 months, so you will go only in jail. And if you do public interest involves this, the term of imprisonment shall be not less than 3 years. Means यहाँ पे तो 3 years में जाओगे ही, अगर public interest नहीं है और बड़ा fraud है तो 6 months के लिए जाओगे ही, public interest है तो 3 years के लिए जाओगे ही, और यहाँ पे कुछ minimum नहीं लिखा है. So can I be put in jail for 1 day?
No, more than that.
No, where it is written more than that for the smaller fraud.
That's not nice.
No, sir.
So can I be put
Not
in jail
mentioned.
for 1 day?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, I don't think you all might be knowing it. People sometimes get a jail for 1 day also. They say till the sun rises or till the sun sets. Okay, so these smaller little offenses, it is there. I'm not talking about company, I'm talking generally. Clear till here? So this is what they have given you. And now coming to the section 204. What was section 204 talking about? We had done all the 4 provisions, right? So this is what we had done, the penalty amount also. If any person or of the officer, so if a company or any of its officers of the company or the company secretary contravenes the provisions of secretarial audit, imagine we had to do a secretarial audit and we did not do it. So what will happen? We'll get a penalty of at least liable to how much? ₹2 lakh. So substituted for this word, punishable for with a fine for not less than. So this has been changed. Can you see this? This has been changed. Shall be punishable with fine. Okay, who is shall be liable for penalty of ₹2 lakh. Clear till here?
Yes, sir.
So in this part, what they are given you 1 lakh, it has been changed, but they have not updated here. So if you see this, substituted with the words punishable with fine, which may be not less than 1 lakh. This part, इसको substitute करके liable to penalty of ₹2 lakh. Clear it now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So moving ahead to one more thing. Who is your regulator? Like as a company secretary, let's say you are your. Who's your regulator?
ICSI.
Very good. ICSI. Now tell me one thing. You are out here, or let's say a doctor. Okay. Now can the doctor say that can they remove promotional offers? Can a doctor remove promotional offers and do marketing?
No.
Like there is some kind of a restraint on it. Can they say एक किडनी के इलाज पे एक किडनी का whatever, you know, एक फ्री whatever, एक bypass फ्री? नहीं ना. Have you seen any these kind of offers? एक कैटरैक्ट कराओ एक आँख का तो आपका एक पैर का नीज का ऑपरेशन फ्री. Now these are all professional courses and professions. They a certain degree of professionalism needs to be maintained. Same way for company secretaries, we also have to maintain a certain amount of professionalism in our approach. So ICSI has, in order to regulate company secretaries and have cases of misconduct, whenever professional misconduct is there, to take action, they have a certain regulations also. I don't know whether you know it. What is the name of the regulation? To, when they are punishing you for professional misconduct. So what is the regulation number? Or regulation
So
name?
165A, 168.
Now regulation number क्या होगा, sorry, regulation name. It is your Company Secretaries Act 1980. Clear till here? So basically I'm trying to tell you that ICSI, when they take action on you, when you've been caught for any kind of bribery or any other kind of misconduct, so that time they will take professional action against you. Maybe you've given some audit reports and you're not maintaining any standards. So then quality action can be taken on you for not maintaining the quality, and you could be guilty under this act. Am I clear with this? So Company Secretary Act 1980 gives you certain professional standards to be followed. So besides the company secretaries in practice shall also be liable for professional and other misconducts mentioned in the schedule, okay, of the Company Secretaries Act 1980, where held guilty, they can be liable for the following actions. So what all actions can you take on a company secretary who has been found guilty of professional misconduct? So if you found guilty in the first schedule or you found guilty in the second schedule, now you don't need to go into all of this. So they've given you a list of misconducts in schedule 1 and schedule 2. So they can either reprimand them, punish them, a kind of a warning can be issued, or you can just remove them, their names on the register of members, or you can put a fine up to 1 lakh rupees. Now, second, if they are found in a schedule 2, you can still reprimand them, you can remove their name, okay. And third is, you can even fine which may extend up to 5 lakh rupees. Clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, which
Yes,
is more,
sir.
which is a much more serious offense, misconduct of schedule 1 or schedule 2?
Schedule 2.
Now schedule 2 may you need to be something like Harshad Mehta. Okay, so let's see what has happened. Here your name is removed for how much time?
3 months.
3 months. Whereas here what is happening in this thing, your name is removed permanently. So, and here the fine is also little more. Here it's 1 lakh, here it's 5 lakhs. Am I clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Simple.
Yes, sir.
Now moving ahead, guiding criteria for various stages for conducting secretarial audit. Now again, this is something which you need to read, just read part. Okay, you won't find in any concepts, but a guiding criteria is there. So you will have to read through all of this. So a little more important also, but some reading will have to be done. Then it's only not concept, but वो documents that you need to do. So क्या है इसके अंदर? So from the name itself, when you're doing your conducting a secretarial audit, okay, there will be various segments, various types of checking involved, yes or no? So maybe you're checking for Companies Act, or maybe you're checking under SEBI law, or under FEMA law, or any other sectorial specific laws. So there are different things that you will be checking, yes or no, in different acts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here they have given you a little bit of a guiding aspects. For example, if you're doing under Companies Act and you're checking with respect to the board and its committees, so you will check the notices, you will check the agenda, you will check the terms of appointment, etc. So all those, so you can just read through some of the points here. You see, only things like these have been written, so you just have to read through, which I'll just take you in short through a practical aspect also. So just let me just complete this part. So reporting of laws, if it's sector specific, so if I'm on the agricultural sector, then I will check all these things. So these are not expected to come directly in your exam or anything, but reading once just in case if they ask you. Now you will also check whether the standards are followed. And this SS1 and SS2, secretarial standards 1 and 2, in your other subjects, it's going to come in much more detail. But till for now, I just want you to know what is SS1 talking about and what is SS2 talking about. SS1 talks about
Board meetings.
board meeting, and SS2 talks about
General meetings.
जनरल मीटिंग. ठीक है, और मीटिंग जनरल मीटिंग के अंदर क्या क्या डिक्लेयर करते हो?
Annual report.
नहीं, डिक्लेयर क्या करते हैं मीटिंग के अंदर?
Dividend.
So the SS3 is what? dividend.
Dividend.
Clear? So just temporarily, when remember this, we'll have the details also for that. Reporting for general law. So all of this you'll just have to read through. So they've given you environmental laws, they've given you competition laws. Now competition laws and all of that will come in detail when we are doing a particular thing. Now till here we'll just go through the practical part. Now you saw they have taken the scope, the guiding factors, etc. So doesn't it make sense just to look at one sectoral audit report? Actually practically दिखता कैसे है audit report? So we get an idea, though all of this they've given you, but once you read the sectoral audit report of actually filed by companies, you will get an idea of how is it actually there. Clear? So we'll start.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So पहले हम लोग format देखते हैं. Format हम लोग देखते हैं of a actual sectoral audit. So firstly, I hope you all can connect with these things. First is Form MR3. It contains a sectoral audit report. It will be for a particular financial year. It will contain your section 204 read with your rule 9, yes or no, of your management remuneration rules 2014. Now, when we are writing a report, so it will be to the members of ABC Limited. Now, in the audit report, what would you write? समझ में आ रहा है? Like an auditor would mention something to the the shareholders, yes or no? मैं खाली देख रहा हूँ, ये हम लोग फॉर्मेट देख रहे हैं पहले. सो ऑडिटर कुछ तो बोल रहा होगा ना? Yeah. So what any audit report you check, they will say that I or we have conducted a sectoral audit report according to the statutory provisions. Till here this is clear? I or we have conducted a sectoral audit of compliance of various things and the adherence to the good corporate practices of this thing. We evaluated the compliances, etc. Yeah, the clear?
Yes, sir.
Then you will tell them that we have examined the books, papers, etc. of so and so companies. We have checked all the laws, like whatever they've given you, Companies Act, SCRA, Depositories Act, FEMA, SEBI. So you just have to tell that you've checked all these things and the company is in compliance with all these regulations. Can you see all of this? Wasn't this all this there in your module? All these laws, they're just saying that we've checked all these laws, and then they go on to say that we've also examined whether the company has followed the applicable sectoral standards and the listing agreements. Clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Then they go on to say we further report that there is a proper balance between the directors, executive and non-executive directors. All the meetings have taken in place, proper notices were sent, whatever decisions were taken were a part of the minute book. Then they further report that all the systems, etc. were in place, which is in commensurate with the size and the operations of the company. Means whatever operations that the companies have, it is according to the size of the company. So that way. Then the audit period relates to so and so time period. Then in case if the company has done specific things which are not every year aspects, for example buyback, for example major decisions taken by the company under section 180. So 180 gives you the restrictions on powers of board if they've done loan to directors, etc. Then comes public issue. So these are all those things if the company has done these one-time events or certain occasional events, they will mention that all this have been done in compliance, and then you will give your signature and your number. Clear till here? Clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now we'll see some company ka specific. So we are seeing of HDFC Life. ठीक है, तो हम लोग देख रहे हैं सेक्रेटरी ऑडिट रिपोर्ट ऑफ HDFC Life. You think it would be very big or small?
Big.
Big. So I'll show you. So what are they saying? So how does it start? MR3 for the financial year 204, Rule 9. This. Yes or no? Then they say to the members of whatever this HDFC Life. How do they start off? We have conducted a sectoral audit of compliance of the statutory provision and the adherence to the good corporate practice by this company. Sectoral audit was conducted in the manner that provided us a reasonable basis for evaluating, etc. And then you say that we have verification. So we have, based on our verification of our books, papers, files, etc. We've examined everything, and we have examined the books, returns, etc. maintained by the company according to the provision of so and so. Then they're giving you all this Companies Act, SCRA, depositories, FEMA, all the SEBI regulations. Then then sector specific laws. Yes or no? Apart from saying Companies Act, etc. Then they're going off sector specific. For example, HDFC Life. So can I say it's a life insurance? So IRDA laws will apply.
Yes, sir.
So these are sector specific laws. Then shops and establishment, tax laws, everything is followed. Then they are also saying, as we always discuss, the secretarial standards, etc. Then company होगी तो employees तो होंगे ही. So employee laws also have been complied with, etc. So we're just seeing it's not really that big, and it ends. So you have the practicing company secretary, and then they sign it. Okay, so we our report of event date is to be read along with this letter. So it's not really big, right? That's it. So here it goes. Maybe it's a 3-page document. So you just have to say that we have checked all the laws. Clear till here? Now this is this is the other last one that we are checking. That is of my favorite company, that is your Tata Motors. It's the Tesla of India. So they go on to say that we have examined, same language used, yes or no? So that's what they're saying. We further report that, we have checked the MOA, AOA, the registers, we have checked, etc. And then you sign it up. So this is just a 1-page document. Am I clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So let's quickly move ahead. So then they're telling you some of the guiding principles of good corporate conduct and practice. This you can mark it as important. So this you can say is expected in the exam. Expected to come. Okay. So again, very simple concepts, you will read and come to know itself. It's not like very difficult anything. It is just giving you some principles for good corporate conduct and practice. So isn't it important to read them, because these are some good practices that they have given. So let's read them what it is. So every company should make disclosures and abide by its obligations in accordance with the following principles. So every company should incorporate the following principles. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So very basic thing, follow the applicable standards. Yes or no? Follow the standards.
Yes, sir.
Second, they are saying follow it in letters and spirit. When I say letters and spirit means what? Not only follow the law in plain letters and just try to manage whatever is written. You follow it in true spirit and go behind the meaning what law really expects you to do. So that is a good practice to follow. Third, should we do misrepresentation, cooking up of balance sheets, cooking up of statements, etc.? So sometimes some statements could be misleading where we know it is misleading. So obviously you should refrain from such kind of things. You should provide adequate and timely information to the investors. You should ensure dissemination of information which are adequate, accurate, explicit, and timely, presented in simple language. So if you go to see, these are simple points that you can remember some of them. Then they should provide equal and timely, cost effective access to relevant information. They should abide by all the laws. They should make all the particular disclosures. Filing reports should contain information for the investors to track the performance of the company. Okay, so sometimes they give you statistics, they give you ratios, they give you analogies of the, especially we see the sales. If you see any companies, the financials, they show you in 2014, 15, 16, 17 what is the financial. So it gives you a good investor, a good insight into knowing the overall picture of the company and its growth. You should respect the rights, provide the opportunity to stakeholders to effectively redress any violations to their right, etc. So you can take up simple points, few of them. Okay, then they've given you a MR3 format, not important, like they won't ask you in the exam, but you can read it once. And that is it. We are done with the chapter.